This camera right here is the most frustrating camera that I've ever used. YouTube, what is good? It's your man Ribs from Doing Film Things. So, as you may have seen on Instagram, I finally made the jump and bought one of these, a Pentax 6x7. This specific model is the 6x7, so it's the older model, not the 6.7, and it doesn't have mirror lockup either. And with it, I did get the famed 105 2.4 Takumar lens. And this is supposed to be basically a portrait beast. And that's what I got this camera for. It's basically for portraits. I haven't been doing tons of it as of last year, but I used to do tons of portrait work, and that's kind of what I really love doing with film photography until I started doing a bit more street and travel stuff. So I'm looking to get back into portraits heavy, assuming, the pandemic kind of clears up and gets a bit better over the next couple months. That way, by the time the summer's out, I'm ready to go and I can hit the ground running. I usually use a Bronica ETRS that gives me that nice 6.45 negative size, but I just really wanted to step it up to the 6.7 just for the different look. I don't think I'm going to get rid of the ETRS, I'm not sure, but this camera is supposed to give me a much different look because of the larger negative, but also, of course, because of this lens right here, shooting at 2.4. So first impressions on this camera. As you can see, I'm holding this with two hands, and that's because this camera is really heavy. And everybody knows that. Obviously, there's nothing new here, but and I'm not shocked at how heavy it is, but it is heavy. Like, you just can't deny it. I am surprised, though, at how comfortable it is in one hand. This has a really deep kind of grip space right here that I can fit my entire hand on. There is no kind of thing sticking out to really let you get that deep grip in there, but the amount of space you have here is really nice. And if you hold this camera, upwards like this, it feels really secure here. Like, I'm not worried about this camera. The other thing that I kind of noticed that was really interesting is it's very easy to hold like this as an SLR. So this is built basically to be a giant SLR, classic style SLR. And you hold it just like one. And even though it's heavy, I really do feel that the heft is very nice centrally located. So it's kind of balanced. It doesn't kind of hang forward or back much. And it just sits in the hand well. So I can really dominate this camera and like put it up to the eye. And I just feel very steady here. And a lot of people were saying that if I don't get the mirror lockup version, I'm screwed, or that, I can't shoot this camera at shutter speeds of 1/60th of a second and lower. And, I haven't tested it yet, so I'll put that out there. But I really don't feel like this is going to be that hard to do because, again, I feel very secure when I'm here. And even if I'm shooting at 1/60th of a second, I really do feel like I've got a really nice center of gravity that will really help me keep this camera very steady. And because it's so heavy, it doesn't move as much. I feel like if it was a little bit lighter and still had that giant shutter on the inside, then perhaps, that would be a bit more challenging. And I keep saying shutter, I guess I'm talking about the mirror. But because it's so dense and the weight is balanced with that density, I think the mirror flip isn't going to hurt me that much. Haven't tested it again, so I'm going to have to get out there and actually give it a go. And then I can kind of correct myself or confirm myself. We'll see. So I said that this camera was very frustrating, and there's one main reason why. First of all, I assumed this camera was 100% mechanical. And theoretically it is, but it does use a battery. And that battery has some effect on what's going on in here. A lot of you can probably correct me in the comments, so feel free. But my general expectation was that I'd be able to open this up, stick some film in there, and then, just start winding. The way I do with like my folding cameras, for example, where truly is fully mechanical. There's nothing, no logic built into the camera. You just rotate, and that keeps advancing the film until you're done. You pull it out, and you're all set. That's not what's going on here. That battery controls more than I assumed it would. And actually, I didn't know I needed a battery, so I had to scramble to find one recently. And then, if you don't load your film properly, you're going to run into some issues here with the film not advancing properly, your mirror getting stuck in the upright position, and even this winder right here not wanting to wind. So I'll tell you what happened to me. First time I loaded the camera, opened it, put the film inside. I didn't line up the arrows, which totally my fault. I should have. But again, I just was expecting that very kind of analog, like very simple procedure. And when I closed the camera and started winding, it kind of stopped after a few winds. And I guess the camera got annoyed at me because I didn't, align the arrow properly. So it assumed I was supposed to be somewhere else on the roll where I wasn't. And the point is, everything got messed up there. This shutter was up and it wouldn't move. And then the winding wasn't doing anything. I could physically wind, but that wasn't actually causing anything to spin on the inside. Got really frustrated. I had no idea what to do. Eventually opened the camera and realized that the film hadn't wound at all. And so I decided, well, let's kind of play with it and see what I can do. Eventually, someone told me about this button right here, and I went and pressed it, and that button freed up the mirror. So at that point, I was like, all right, cool. Let's try this again. So I actually took the film out because, again, it hadn't really unwound. And I started and I kind of rolled it back myself, and then I started again. This time, I aligned it properly with the arrow where it's supposed to be. Closed the lid, started winding, and I got to frame 1. When I got to frame 1, I took a test exposure, and then I tried to wind to the next one. And then at that point, I couldn't do anything. Not only was the mirror locked up to the stuck up position again, but this winder actually physically wouldn't move. You can tell it was just locked in place. And at that point, I was like, all right, I really don't know what's going on with this camera. So eventually, I started kind of reading around. I asked for some help on Instagram. And some people on the internet were saying that, just pull the battery out and that'll force the shutter the mirror to come back down. And eventually I did that, pulled it out. Mirror came right down. Everything seems to be working again. Again, I don't understand how this works, but that's what I did and that's what happened. And at that point, I was like, all right, let me just shoot this whole roll, see if I can at least advance through the film properly and see if I can get just images. I want to see if there's light leaks in the camera. I want to make sure the shutter speeds work, whatever. So I managed to actually shoot an entire roll, just literally pointing out of my window. And at that point, everything worked as I expected. You wind ahead, you take your shot, wind ahead, you keep going until the end, pull the film out, and everything was all good. I developed the film, everything looks great, camera works, no issues. My question to you and to everybody listening is, how is the right way to use this camera? What is the order of operations? And what are the key things that I need to know to not do in this camera in order to confuse it? Because again, this camera is programmed to function in a certain way based on the mechanics and how it was built. And I just assumed this was going to be a very old style kind of camera where you could just put the film in and advance through. And like, if you mess it up, it's completely on you in terms of, skipping something. But here, it seems like there's a way to do things. So I was very surprised by this camera, I will admit. I'm not mad at it. I'm obviously very excited to use it, but it definitely was not what I was expecting in terms of how to use this camera. And I consider myself to know cameras well and to be able to just jump right in, but this definitely wasn't one of those cameras. So I don't know, everyone, since this camera seems to be so popular, tell me in the comments, how are you supposed to use this camera? What are the things to look out for? And generally, some advice, because I haven't shot a real roll in this yet. Again, I was just pointing it out of my window, so I have no idea how this is going to function. All right, so that's what I got for today. It's just kind of my first impressions on this Pentax 6.7. Very excited to use this camera, so definitely look out for more videos on this. But in the meantime, that's all I got. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me a like. And of course, if you want to see the other videos in the future with this camera, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss anything. Till the next video, y'all. Peace.